Cool. And I know that education is very important to you, for the Museum
Yes.
of Uncut Funk.
Mhm.
And I know you have your campaign, tell the truth, teach the truth. So, I know that's connected to social movements and again, go about the 70s and education. So, let's talk a little bit about tell the truth, teach the truth. So what is that exactly?
Well,
Well,
yeah,
it's our campaign where we really believe that Black history needs to be taught correctly and accurately across the board to children in preschool to 12th grade. You shouldn't have to wait to go to college like basically I did to take Black studies courses and get the awakening of where have I been, why did I not know this? And so it's time. I mean, the history is constantly repeating itself in the way that we have been treated since we've been here, and that hasn't changed. For some of us we've risen above, for some of us we're stuck in the middle, and then there's a good portion of us who can't get past go. And so, with that said, we need to understand, and a lot of us do understand who we are, but it needs to be taught accurately. It needs to be taught. The truth needs to be taught, and it's going to hurt. It's going to be ugly. There will be pushback. There will be, a lot of people who say, no, that's not accurate. That did not happen. That can't be. But the history has been written. There's a lot to our history that we have been taught, and there is a lot that we have not been taught. And I'm sure if we really knew the truth, I don't even know how we would respond to all of the atrocities that we have had to deal with that we don't even know about. We can only imagine. So it's critically important that, this truth needs to be told. It's just time.
yeah, I think again, as a child growing up, coming out of the civil rights movement, growing up in the 70s, if you were growing up during that time, good chance that, your parents or your grandparents were involved in the movement, right? So you had, firsthand accounts of what happened during, Jim Crow and civil rights, right? For me, my mom taught me everything about uh, my history. I mean, she marched with, King in the, March on Washington. So she had those firsthand stories. She also, encountered a lot of racism. So she was always, sharing her experiences, making sure that I understood, who I am, where I come from, what my history is, make sure I understand my family history as much as we knew. I learned a little bit in high school, but not a lot. And, it was, very cursory, what we were taught back in the 70s in, high school about Black history. Unfortunately, that hasn't changed much in 50 years. So kids today are not learning any more than we did. And, they may not have the benefit of having those firsthand stories because they're, generations removed from, Jim Crow and civil rights. So, they may, not have grandparents or great grandparents who are alive who can share those types of stories. So, you have a situation where purposely textbooks are being written to either not include Black history or to include a very sanitized version of Black history. And what is in a textbook in California is very different than what's in a textbook in Texas. There are no national standards that, say that every, child who is of school age learns the same thing. There are no national standards for history, for American history. There are no national standards for Black history, which is American history. 401 years of contribution, in this country, contribution and sacrifice is just not captured and people are not learning it. And it is going to be extremely difficult for us to move forward as a country and to heal. If we are not able to have everyone understand the same facts, to have the same conversation, and to, be able to get past some of the things that have happened. So, in this time of racial reckoning, it is time for America to tell the truth. Tell the truth about the enslavement of a people, tell the truth about a brutalization of a people, tell the truth about, continuing, inequality and lack of justice and lack of, the full exercise of rights and privileges that everybody else has. It's time to have that reckoning. It's time to have that conversation. It is time for Black history to be taught in its entirety, not just, Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King, but everything in between, what happened prior to us getting here, because we were not, born as an enslaved people. There was, a whole period of time prior to 1619 and us arriving here. And, to learn all of it, even, up until today, there's a real need to do that. And it's time for us to get that done. I think what young folks have shown us, the not only young Black people, but young white people, young Asian people, everybody who was out protesting. What the young folks have shown is that they can handle it and they're ready for it. The adults need to get out of the way, right? The young folks can handle this. The young folks have it. It's the adults that are in the way of, of young folks being able to learn the truth about American history, because Black history is American history. So, our initiative says enough is enough. It is time for us to teach pre-K through 12, Black history, slavery, Jim Crow, reach the whole thing, to stop lying about it, stop making up stuff that didn't happen, stop trying to, cast America in a better light than it deserves, because we have to have that reckoning and we have to tell the truth so that we can move forward. And, what we're looking to do is to get folks to sign our petition at change.org. You can find out about it on our website, so that we can then, start to, force some folks to make some changes and start to hold some people accountable. So that's really what we want to do. I'll actually go out there with, the tell the truth, teach the truth is a passion point. My mom was a teacher. She dedicated her life to the education and uplift of Black children. So, I lost her earlier this year, and I'm kind of, this is kind of how I work through the grief and through the loss, trying to fill that space with something that I'm passionate about and something that's important. And Black history is important because, again, Black history is American history. We cannot move forward collectively as a people until we, address the wrongs and try to make them right. And you can't address the wrongs if you don't know what they are, and if you don't, take responsibility for them and learn from them and move forward and do better. And I think that that's what people are demanding. It's time to do better. To have, these situations continue to repeat themselves because people are willfully ignorant and not connecting, the racial history behind what's happening is ridiculous. We're smarter than this. We can do better than this. So, that is a key initiative, that underpins all the educational things that we do, obviously, as we're trying to, share history and get people excited about it.
But in addition to the Tell the Truth campaign, that is critically important. I'm a preschool teacher, and, it's very important for me that we include young children on this path of understanding who they are. And being a preschool teacher and only being allowed 28 days out of 1 month to teach Black history, and it's such a scaled down version of what the system thinks a 3, 4, and 5-year-old can handle as it relates to learning anything new, is just, it's a falsehood. Because anybody who's a parent, they know what their children are capable of. And the more you put into a child, the more you feed a child, the more the child absorbs. And so there's no reason for our platform to have young children be a part of it from preschool all the way up to 12th grade. So Again, to add to what Lorene said, that is very important to the both of us.